Ready or not, here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Prepare to be caught. Here I come now. Let's play hide and seek. Riding on the playground, no one dares to make a sound. Round and round and round and round, no one wants to be first found.
To get a sense from you about justice. What is it? What does it look like for you? I mean, you're just starting this process.
For me, it's going to look a lot like, I mean, justice doesn't have a room where you can read books, and you can go to school, and you can have, 3 meals, and you can have your vegan diet. To me, that's not justice. Justice is when you leave the planet, and the whole world is able to rejoice and be glad that you are not there. That's justice, and we will forgive him. We will.
That makes me sick to my stomach. How many times is Steve going to change his mind about BK, about Bryan? Does it depend on what he's being shown by law enforcement? What he's being fed by Brat? Or other people? Is it the things he's watching on social media? Probably. But to say something like that, he's no better than the people taking lives, because he's taking he's insinuating that Bryan is guilty when he doesn't have a clue if he is or not. Bryan has not been given a fair go at this from the get-go. And that's pretty obvious to a lot of us. I mean, there's a lot out there that are just going to be like, oh my God, you guys are crazy. Well, that's because you're not diving like we're diving. That's because you're just watching what they want you to watch. And that is it. You're not opening up that back door to the garage and going out and going through all the garbage out there that they're hiding out there that they don't want you to see. We are. We're sifting through it, piece by piece by piece. And if we have to bring up a certain piece over and over again, we'll do it. Because it's important that the right people are caught and have to pay for what they've done. Not someone that didn't do it. Even if he was privy of it or was aware of it or anything, that's not the same as he did it, like they're saying. He can't. Any way you look at this case, just common freaking sense in your brain, common sense is saying, how the hell did they find this guy? How did he do all of it? How did nobody see? How come it was a quiet night? How come there was people all over the place? Cops, kids, people walking across the street. There was a football game. There was a jean party. There was a party on the hill right behind the King house, at Matt's house. How in the heck can they say with confidence that he went in there by himself, not even knowing these people, and did this without when nobody saw anything, heard anything? What? That's just common sense. That there's something not right about this. All the leaks that have been put out by who? No one's fessing up to it. We've got people that'll say it's theirs. Then it was theirs because I was scared. Then it was theirs because blah, blah, blah. I mean, do we really know? No, we don't. We don't. Because at this point, we do know. What we do know, here's what we do know. We do know that Bill Thompson has lied. We do know that Brett Payne has lied. We know that in a roundabout way, we can't, I mean, that Fry has lied. They've all lied. They've told us things that aren't true. And yeah, maybe they say they can do those things like that or withhold this or that. But when they're putting out things that are blatant lies, they like to call them false facts because it sounds a little nicer. But basically what a false fact is, it's a damn lie. It's a lie. And that, pulling at the heartstrings of the families, is disgusting. But then you have to go and think about who's talking right now and who's not. The people that aren't talking are two of them are the parents of two of the girls that the mothers have gone to or were arrested for charges. And then later took plea deals for two of the girls. Now, Ethan, with the two siblings that are there, you're not going to tell me they didn't know what was going on that night? Bull crap. Not only did they not, in my opinion, know what was going on that night, but they knew what was leading up to it too. Because why was Ethan over at staying at the King house? Because Sigma Chi, the frats get a bad name if you've got a low grade. You have to keep up a grade point average. And if you don't, they get a mark off of their, I don't know what they do. There's several different things I'm sure they do. Maybe they just get slapped on the wrist for the most part. But it's in the books. So the people that aren't living up to the GPA, they are shooed off to another house momentarily till they get their grades up. And then maybe they're brought back. But in this case, Ethan was a second-year fresher, meaning this was his second year as a freshman. And so he would have to be hazed all over again. That's part of the rules. That's the way it goes. Now, for some reason in my brain, I can't imagine Ethan putting up with the hazing the first time around. We know he didn't get his head shaved. We've seen that because we've seen the pictures. His hair doesn't grow that fast. So was this a double hazing? Was this a double whammy that really? Well, we all know what it did. And then you've got Kelley, whose parents are very outspoken, whose dad knows about computers, knows about social media, knows about he's street smart. He's street smart and book smart. And they're all up in it, getting like the videos, the body cams, keeping the time straight. They're on it. Well, Ellie doesn't like that. Well, Ellie, has maybe they've taken those precautions and done what they needed to do, like showing Steve maybe film that wasn't even BK in a car sitting out there in the parking lot. That could have been anyone. And I highly doubt that Steve actually saw his face. If that even happened. But I'm so disappointed in them for just the things that they say about, I mean, they're cold blood. I mean, for someone to say, even Kristi said it, I feel for them. Don't get me wrong. My heart breaks for them. Oh my God, it does. But you are joyfully, as his words, those were his words. People being joyous when BK's gone. They don't even know if he's guilty. And they're sentencing a man to death by their words, their actions, their interviews. They're swaying the crowd. They're swaying a minority, right? One way or the other. There's a sway going on somewhere, and it's happening. We've seen it. And people have gone back and forth. Me, I've stuck steadfast. I've never thought he was guilty from the get-go. Never, not once. I thought maybe he was there because of what they had tricked him into doing, possibly. But once he was there, if he did get there and was there and he saw what was going on, he got the hell out of there. And I don't know about you, but I would be scared half out of my wits if that happened to me and I was put in something like that, and then this whole thing blew up, and then all of a sudden you're the one that did it? And you can't say crap because now you're incarcerated? Grand jury, the whole works. Think about how that you would feel. Oh my gosh. I mean, I seriously feel like anything like that, I can't really even go there maybe for a second, but I got to stop because it feels like someone's standing on my chest. Now imagine what he must feel with millions. I mean, how many people out there know about this? I mean, there's so many people from across the pond. I mean, there's everybody there, all these countries. This is big. I don't know. Then again, I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not them, right? So there's that. Okay. Done with my rant. I'm going to keep playing this for you.
We're not going to have that heavy weight on us. We will forgive this individual, and but he has to pay for what he's done. And it's not just our daughter, it's all the victims he needs to pay justice to. And,
Wow.
That's all I can say about it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, accountability, has the prosecution or anybody from the prosecutor's office discussed the option of a death penalty? Because victims' families are consulted typically throughout the process, and this is an option on the table in the state of Idaho.
We've talked with them. We've had multiple meetings. I think they probably want to do it, all of the families together, before they just approach one.
Okay. I guess I'm not going to shut up. Has Steve had multiple meetings, or has he not? Because 1 minute they're not talking to him and they have a gag order on him, and now we're hearing they've had multiple meetings on this. What? Steve, you're starting to sound just like law enforcement with your back and forth with your word salad. Kristi's looking pretty good in here. Both of them actually are. They both look pretty darn good. Look at their skin. They've got plenty of rest, it looks like. Good, because they're probably going to need it, right? Like I said, I am not throwing them in the bus. I feel for them. I do. But I do not agree with what they're doing. Not one little bit. And why are the other families quiet? And we were there. I mean, it makes me feel like they were paid off or something. I mean, why isn't anybody speaking up? Why is it so okay with the Chapins? I mean, I get part of her stuff. You can't do anything about it now, right? But it's not really the things she says. It's her demeanor. It's her body language. It's the words she uses and the expressions when she uses those words. That's the big one for me. And that's always going to be a big one for me because, like I said, I grew up in a family where narcissists ruled. They just ruled. And me, didn't get to say much because I never really got to talk, right? And when I did, I was just told I was wrong. So, what does it do? It leads you to not really saying much at any given time. You basically kind of stop talking. And so these expressions and these things that I'm hearing, they're like, I've been through, 50 plus years of hearing this stuff. And that's one thing I do know about. I can't actually say that I do know about that. And this word salad stuff, it's the worst. It confuses you so much. It's basically gaslighting, just, play on words, bouncing back and forth, turning you in circles, and they just keep it up. And they don't get tired like the normal person. They can go forever. And it just seems like it gives them more energy. It's just the craziest thing. and you're exhausted. You're like, pretty soon you're the one that's apologizing for something they did to you, because that's the only reason, an only way a fight is going to stop, or an argument or whatever. Because at this point, they're just arguing with you to argue with you. You're not saying anything. If you don't say anything, then they want to argue more. It's the strangest thing. It's like they just get off on it and they get so much energy from it. And so it's like I said, it's just exhausting. And I mean, pretty soon you're just like, okay, I'm sorry, I apologize, blah, blah, blah. When you don't even know what you're apologizing for at that point, because it's been 3 days you've been fighting. And you're like, we don't even remember what the heck the fight, what it was for in the first place, when it really wasn't a fight. It was like basically someone, the other party, being in a bad mood or needing a little bit of extra, energy. They're hit, so to speak. And so they make up something that's going to trigger you. And if it doesn't trigger you, they'll just start fighting no matter what. But most of the time, if you're triggered, you're going to vocalize that you're triggered. That's going to bother you, because that's what a trigger is. A trigger is something that's going to trigger you, that makes you feel bad, that you've had in the past. It's something that makes you feel bad inside, or whether it be happy or sad. You can have a happy trigger too, which is great. But in my case, most of the time, I mean, all the time, they didn't trigger me for happy stuff. It was all bad stuff, and it wasn't necessarily even bad. They made it bad. They made me feel bad about it, even though it wasn't really necessarily bad. Does that make any sense? People out there who've been through narcissistic relationships and stuff, know what I'm talking about. People who have it think I'm just talking, and thinks I'm talking word salad, basically, really seriously. But there's no way, unless you've been in that, then you won't know even what I'm talking about. And that's a good thing. Oh my gosh, I wish I never knew what I was talking about. Seriously. Oh, that would be so awesome. But that's not the case. So when I see these things, and I see what the law is doing in the courtroom, and even these two, it's just a bunch of word salad. It's a back and forth. I mean, we never know what Steve's going to say. We never know if he's going to be for him, against him, partially, whatever. Kristi's pretty much stayed the same, although she did kind of sway one way there for a while, with him being, a little more lenient on him. But now it's back to just, kill him, But Steve, he's been wishy-washy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, to where we don't even know what he's going to say next. I don't. Maybe you guys do, but I don't. Oh, I don't even know what I was talking about in the first place. It made me so mad what he said. God. This case.
Most sense. But we've had meetings, but we have not crossed that actual
question.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't even disclose just until recently that they were this close. They kind of said that, hey, give us some time. We think we have the right person. We're going to get this. But we couldn't go from that to death penalty or those type of details.
Do you both have a feeling as to how you would respond to that question once the prosecutors put it to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know.
We're glad that we live in Idaho.
And that is?
Definitely.
I'm assuming that you are in favor of the death penalty
if
for
our daughters
this
could
defendant.
switch places with him, I'm saying Maddie is my daughter, we would do it in a heartbeat. If they could sit there and have 3 squares, a place to live, and we could call them, we could write them letters, they could watch TV, they could get educated.
I would love if Maddie and Kaylee were doing life in prison right now.
Yeah. So
at least we could talk to them.
That's not
They'd be breathing.
a punishment equivalent to being killed. That's God's role. If you want to,
He just said something weird before that. He mentioned Maddie separately, which is, let me go back. That was weird.
call them, we could write them letters, but we couldn't go from that to death penalty or those type of details.
Do you both have a feeling as to how you would respond to that question once the prosecutors put it to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know.
We're glad that we live in Idaho.
Definitely.
I'm assuming that you are in favor of the death penalty
If
for
our
this
daughters could
defendant.
switch places with him, and I'm saying Maddie is my daughter, we would do it in a heartbeat. If they could sit there and have 3 squares, a place to live, and we could call them, we could write them letters, they could watch TV, they could get
I would love if Maddie and Kaylee were doing life in prison right now.
Yeah. So
At least we could talk to them.
that's not
They'd be breathing.
a punishment equivalent to being killed. That's God's role. If you want to play God's role, then you're gonna have to go answer to him.
Right there. He's contradicting himself because he's now playing God's role by wishing death upon him without even a guilty verdict. So what's up with that?
I just wanted to get a sense from you about justice. What is it? What does it look like for you? I mean, you're just starting this process.
For me,
The more and more I look at Ashley Banfield, she looks like a vampire. I don't know what it is about today, me looking at her, but she looks like a damn vampire. Okay, we've seen the first part of this, so I don't know. It just started over again, and I didn't see the first part of it, so maybe I'll play it for just a little bit so you can hear the rest of it.
it's gonna look a lot like an end. I mean, justice doesn't have a room where you can read books and you can go to school and you can have 3 meals and you can have your vegan diet. To me, that's not justice. Justice is when you leave the planet and the whole world is able to rejoice and be glad that you are not there. That's justice.
Ugh, that rejoice part kicks my butt every time. I can't even listen to that. So long, you two.